I found the funniest fake Minecraft speedrun because the way this speedrunner cheats is hilarious. But hang on a second. They get this screen up warning these settings are using experimental features, which is a huge sign that this is fake. And despite this being a new world, it loads up very quickly. The speedrunner does have a timer, which is great news, but as soon as they spawn in, they have a shield, a sword, and bread. I must have missed a few updates because this is not legitimate. And then hold the phone while the speedrunner is breaking this tree in front of them. This is yet again another new update I must have missed. Since when is this animation a part of vanilla Minecraft? Buddy is really putting a lot of elbow grease into breaking that tree. Well, the speedrunner turns their oak log into planks, creating a crafting table, putting it down, making some sticks, and then they make a wooden axe. And again, I am so confused. They just broke that entire tree with a single wooden axe. And then they do it again. They're just breaking all of these trees in front of them by only breaking a single block. So clearly this speedrun is fake. There is something fishy going on here. The speedrunner has enough oak logs to literally build a mansion. So they break their crafting table, looking around trying to figure out what is next. And while the speedrunner jumps into the water, I'm taking a look at their timer and realizing, is it just me or is this timer a little slow? Well, anyways, the speedrunner kills a squid, then they find a single block of gravel, which is very lucky. So they break it and put it down a few times until they do get a piece of flint. Then the speedrunner attacks this pig, getting some raw pork, at which point the speedrunner by accident falls into a ravine, and instead of going out of the ravine, they just decide to swim deeper. And pause the video. If you see this magma block on screen, keep an eye out for what's going on over there. The speedrunner delves deeper into where those magma blocks are, putting down a crafting table, creating more oak planks, and making an oak door. So even though the speedrunner has run out of air, they put their oak door down, which is a pretty common pro speedrun strat. At this point, the speedrunner makes a wooden pickaxe, and then they start breaking some of the stone blocks around them. After getting enough stone blocks, they craft a stone pickaxe, and then they dive even deeper into the water, finding a single iron ore. So they break that iron ore block, picking up the iron ore, and oh, whoops. I was gonna say they create flint and steel, but I realize this speedrunner forgot to smelt their iron. So now, wasting a little bit of time, the speedrunner has to break some of the stone blocks in front of them. But hang on a second here. While they are breaking the stone blocks, they reveal some crying obsidian in front of them, which is very unusual. So the speedrunner creates a furnace, they put it down and smelt their raw iron, and with their new iron nugget, they create a flint and steel. But hang on a second, what is the speedrunner doing? They're just putting blocks all over in front of them, removing the water, then they break the planks, and wait, what? Yeah, they just lit this crying obsidian and created a nether portal. How is that even possible? Well, clearly I have missed so many updates. 1.20, 1.21, the what in tarnation update. Just like that, the speedrunner has entered the nether, and things get even weirder. The speedrunner encounters some hostile piglins, and right after they defeat this first piglin, you can see underneath the advancement text, are those 2 new hearts? Yeah, they are. Each time the speedrunner defeats an enemy, they get new hearts. Alright, I'm at a loss for words. I have clearly missed at least a handful of updates. Well, even though their timer seems funny to me, at 3 minutes, the speedrunner locates a nether fortress. So they build up to the top of it with their blocks, looking around trying to figure out, okay, maybe they can find a blaze spawner. And then in the distance, they do in fact find a blaze spawner, and like a professional speedrunner, they go into their video settings, lowering their render distance to 2 chunks, and immediately the blazes come spawning in. And wow, the speedrunner actually gets very lucky, immediately getting a blaze rod. Despite being on fire, they very quickly get 2 blaze rods. They get 7 blaze rods, and then they start exiting their nether fortress. And the next thing on the speedrunner's radar would be a ruined bastion. And oh my goodness, would you look at that? Directly in front of them is a bastion. The problem though is that our speedrunner doesn't have any gold, so the piglins are gonna be attacking them like crazy. So the speedrunner does waste a little bit of time breaking down some blocks trying to find an alternate route through the bastion. And at one point they dig up, almost killing themselves with lava about to fall on them. But after digging a little bit more through, they find a path, getting a golden block, which is very lucky. They turn that golden block into an ingot, and directly in front of them is a swarm of enemies ready to attack. If you listen to the speedrunner's audio, you can tell there are just so many mobs angry with them. So the speedrunner puts their crafting table down, making a golden helmet, and as soon as they equip it, they are in the clear. So the speedrunner takes a few hits to defeat this hoglin in front of them, then they jump through the lava, exploring more of the bastion, and luckily finding a huge clump of golden blocks, which is very, very lucky. So they spend some time breaking those golden blocks, and at almost 5 minutes, they find a very unusual corridor of netherrack, and at the end of this corridor is a piglin trapped behind nether brick fence with a sign above it that says Piglin Trader. What in tarnation? So the speedrunner takes their golden blocks, turning it into ingots, and just throwing all of their ingots at the piglin. And after waiting a little bit of time, the speedrunner comes back to the piglin to find out what sort of good trades they got. But hang on a second here, something looks really unusual. Are those endstone blocks? And then what else is that on the ground next to it? Yeah, I kid you not, they got 5 ender pearls, 3 endstone blocks, and an ender dragon egg. Now that, without a doubt, is just not possible. This is very, very fake. But don't worry, later on, it'll all make sense. So the speedrunner exits the ruined bastion, trying to find their way back to their nether portal, until eventually they just sort of give up and they start putting down obsidian. Now, I just sort of assumed what happened underground earlier in the speedrunner was some sort of glitch or miracle or act of God, but nope, the speedrunner puts down obsidian and crying obsidian and somehow lights it, returning to the overworld. And the next few moments are just a string of lucky events. It's like a new movie, a series of fortunate events. The speedrunner literally spawns inside of an amethyst geode, and while they are digging their way through to I'm not sure what, and I don't think they know what either, they get very lucky by finding some diamonds. Then the speedrunner digs right into the new trial chambers. How lucky is that? Then they proceed to travel down these stairs. At the end of the hallway is literally a single chest, and inside they find a mace with sharpness 4 and looting 3. So they take the mace and they take the wind charges. But wait, what is the speedrunner doing? They are wasting an unusual amount of time just mining out space in this room for no particular reason, until the speedrunner puts down their crafting table, making blaze powder, making their eyes of ender, and wait, what exactly are they crafting? They put down the end stone, then they put the ender dragon egg in the middle, and what in tarnation? Did they just craft an end portal frame? Yes, they did. So I'm not sure how, but the speedrunner puts down their end portal frames, but I have no idea how they are going to fill those frames without any more ender pearls. That is until this happens. Yep, just watch. Yeah, there must have been some sort of cut where out of nowhere, the end portal just is lit with a single block. Is this a glitch? Is this a miracle? No, it's just fake. So the speedrunner enters the end, building to the island with their black stone blocks. And they're using a bow to break the end crystals, but hold the phone. I don't remember the speedrunner ever even picking up a bow. Suspicious. At this point in the speedrun, they are at a world record 7 minutes. They're building up to the top of this obelisk, breaking the end crystal in front of them, and then they use their bow to continue breaking the end crystals. But something about these obelisks are very funny. Usually these cages are completely filled filled in, but 2 of the cages in the top of the obelisks are broken, allowing the speedrunner to break the crystals from far away. That's odd. Well, anyways, the speedrunner shooting the dragon with their bow and arrow, and again, something here is very fake and fishy, because just a moment ago, they had 19 arrows, and now on their hotbar, they have 54, which begs the question, at some point, the speedrunner must have made a cut to give themselves more items. So the dragon perches, it has very low health. The speedrunner is hitting the dragon with their mace, but unfortunately, the dragon starts flying away with literally no health left, which is so unlucky. But out of nowhere, what in the world is going on? Is the speedrunner flying, or is that just me? I am gonna have to rewatch that clip over 100 different times. I'm gonna need an investigator to figure out what just happened. Did they have just a little bit too much airtime, or were they literally floating? And why in the world is there text on the screen saying an extra dragon egg has dropped? Well, just like that, the speedrunner secured an extremely questionable 8-minute and 27-second world record. Was it legitimate? Was it fake? Let's decide in the comment section.